Grace and peace be multiplied unto you. I welcome you to today's lesson in English on the topic quantifiers. So, quantifiers, the meaning of quantifiers basically is any word that gives us an idea about quantity. Example, how much, how many, a few, little, one, two. All these words gives us an idea about quantity. Okay. So, quantifiers go with nouns, they go with countable or uncountable nouns. And uncountable nouns are simply nouns that cannot be counted or you find it difficult to count them. And countable nouns are nouns that can easily be counted. So quantifiers go with either uncountable nouns or countable nouns or even with countable and uncountable nouns. So with both. So we have those that go strictly with uncountable nouns. An example, much, much, a little, little, and bit of. So these ones go strictly with uncountable nouns. For example, water. Water is an uncountable noun. So you can say something like, I do not drink much water. Okay. And we have quantifiers that go strictly with countable nouns. And examples are many, a few, one or two, several, a couple of. So this ones go strictly with countable nouns. And so you can give an example like I eat many apples because you can actually count apples. We have those that go with both uncountable and countable nouns. And examples are any, enough, a lot of, plenty of. Okay, so these words go with they can go with uncountable nouns, they can also go with countable nouns. So I had enough apples, I had enough water. You realize that I use enough for both countable and uncountable nouns. Enough means as much as we need, plenty of means that's more than enough. Okay, so let's look at examples and how their quantifiers are used. So we use much before large uncountable quantity nouns. So let's look at examples. Do you eat much rice? There isn't much time. How much water should you drink a day? So you realize that much moves with uncountable nouns. Like rice, you can't easily count the number of rice on your plate. Time, you can't count time. Water, you can't count water. So much is used with uncountable quantities or nouns. We use many before large countable quantity. So unlike much, many is used before large countable quantity nouns. Let's look at example. Do you know many people here? There are many books on the table. How many bottles of water should I drink a day? So when you look at this, you can actually count people here, and count the books on the table, and you can count the bottles of water. So much can be used before large countable quantity nouns. We use little before small uncountable quantity. Small uncountable quantity. So like we saw in the previous slide, we use much for large uncountable quantity. Much is for large uncountable quantity, but little is for small uncountable quantity. Something like, so in a sentence from you say I eat little rice. So you rice is uncountable, but you mean that the rice you eat is small. Okay. We use a few before small countable quantities. So a few is for small countable quantities nouns. So, like for example, I know few people here. I know few people here tells you that the people here you can count them, but then the people here are not many. So you know few. You know few people here. Okay. So we use a little before certain uncountable quantity now. So between large and small. So I ate a little rice last night. So when we are talking about a little, we are basically looking at between large and small. It means at medium. So when you use a little, it means it's not too big, it's not too small. So I ate a little rice last night. So the rice was not too plenty, it was not too small, but it was, average. So you ate a little rice last night. We use a few for certain countable quantity nouns between large and small. So a little is for uncountable and a few is for countable. I knew a few people in the town where I lived. I knew a few people in the town where I lived. So this statement is saying that I knew a few people in the town where I live. So the people could be many. The people will be between many and small. So it's quite a number, but it's not that large a number that cannot be counted, and it's not that small a number. So it's in between. That is how a little and a few is used as a quantifier. So a little note is large between large and small, is between large and small, and a few is also between large and small. We use a lot and some for both countable and uncountable nouns. A lot of can replace much or many. Some can replace a little or few. Okay, so I eat a lot of water. A lot of rice. I ate a lot of rice. I know a lot of people. I ate some rice last night. I knew some people where I lived. So what it's saying is that a lot of and some are used for both countable and uncountable nouns. But it doesn't matter whether the noun can be easily counted or not. You can use a lot of and you can use some for them. And a lot of usually replaces much or many, and some replaces a little or few. So if you have a statement with a little where you can use a little or a few, you can also replace these words with some. So let's go through the example again. I eat a lot of rice, meaning that you can say I eat much rice. Okay. I know a lot of people. You can say I know many people. I ate some rice last night. You can say I ate a little rice last night. I knew some people where I lived before. You can say I knew a few people where I lived before. I simply just replaced the words. So some means a limited quantity. It's often used in positive sentence. We can also use it in question. Any is often used in negatives and question. Okay, so let's look at example. We'll better understand it. I like some pop music. So I like some pop music. It's used in a positive sentence. Like gives us an idea that it's something positive. Okay. And so like is usually used in positive sentences. Would you like some more soup? Would you like some more? Sorry, some is used in positive sentences. Would you like some more soup? And this is also a positive sentence asking whether would you like some more soup. So it's positive, okay? But any is used in negatives. So we haven't got any milk in the fridge. You realize that this makes the sentence a negative sentence. And any can also be used in questions. Like, are there any questions? So any can also be used in questions. So you have to note and study the examples and how and where to use these quantifiers. Note: be careful that not all countable nouns take s when you count more than one of them. Example: one book, two books, etc. Or when you're using the quantifier many, add s, so many books. Okay. So, but when you take this example right here, one person, we don't say two persons, but we say two people. So it goes like this: many people. We have one child. We don't say 10 childs, we say 10 children. So we also say many children because they are countable. The difference between few and a few, and also little and a little, is very slight. So make it clear to the listener, we often add very to little and few. So what we are saying is that the difference between few and a few is just a slight difference. Okay? And the difference between little and a little is very slight. So sometimes, in order to make it clear that you are using the word few or you are using the word little, we add very. Okay, we add very to little and few to know how small it is. You realize that when I was explaining earlier, I said that few is for very small, but a few is between large and small. It's between large and small. Little is for very small, and a little is between large and small. So in between. So in order to make sure that when you're using few and little and you want to be clear, you can use very so that the person can know that it is very small. I usually eat very little rice. Then you know that the rice eaten is way too small. But I ate a little rice last night. Means that it's in between small and plenty because it is a little. Okay, so this brings an end to our topic on quantifiers. I hope you were able to understand what we said. Okay, before we close, let's get into these two notes before we end it. So let's look at another important thing right here. If you want to make an uncountable noun countable, you should use an appropriate unit of measurement. So sometimes when you want to quantify uncountable nouns, you should use an appropriate unit of measurement. Example, you know that we cannot count water, but we can count glasses of water. Okay, so we can't also count milk, but we can count glasses of milk. So much milk, we have many glasses of milk. Much equipment, many pieces of equipment. Much bread, many slices of bread. So once you bring the unit of measurement like glasses, pieces, and slices, then you can use countable quantifiers. like many, etc. Okay. Also, after words like too, so, as, and very, we always use much and many instead of a lot of. So you can't say so a lot of information, but then you can say so much information. You can say too many questions. You can't say too a lot of questions. Okay, so you have to note all these ones. And the last thing we will look at is some words that you may expect to be countable, but they are uncountable in English. So certain words you think are countable, but in English they are actually uncountable now. Like luggage. Luggage is an uncountable now. Money, uncountable. News, uncountable. Progress, uncountable. Research, software, traffic, work, accommodation. So with all these I'm saying you cannot add the plural form to it. Like you don't add s to them. You can't say accommodations. Advice, equipment. We don't say equipments. It's equipment. Evidence. We don't say evidences. We say only evidence. So the plural of evidence is evidence. Furniture. We don't say furnitures. Furniture. Hardware, information, and knowledge. So these words basically they do not have their plural form. The plural form is how the word is this way. Okay. So this actually brings us to the end of quantifiers, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson and you learned something. I've given some exercises, and I hope this video helps you answer them. Until our next lesson, have a nice day. Bye bye.